So coming soon. So you have 20 seconds. So we'll be going live in a few moments. So just going to quickly draw the faders up in a few seconds. So we have 10 seconds.
I remember it all too well.
All Too Well there from Taylor Swift, Taylor's version there. Before that, we had Calvin Harris, How Deep Is Your Love? And at the beginning, Kool and the Gang with Celebration. So yes, we are back, we are live, and I have the wonderful Maxine and Cherry with me right here, right now, live on Facebook and across the airwaves. Cherry, Maxine, thank you very much for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure. So just to get an idea, because this is, of course, Dementia Action Week, we're doing all the rest. So who exactly are you guys, and what do you do relating to Dementia Action Week?
Over to you, Cherry.
Well, I'm the Dementia Supportive Community Development Officer based in PAVS. So my role is about promoting the well-being of people living with dementia and trying to encourage communities and individuals to take action to improve the lives of others. So this week we've been, thankfully, with Pure West Radio, we've had interviews all week. It's just about raising awareness and about trying to get people to think a little bit about what they can do, not just this week, but for the coming weeks and months.
So it's a big job, to say the least, because, I mean, especially with dementia, it's more common than people think in many ways. I mean, I was just saying before we went live with my family and my friends that every person I know has at least one person who's been affected in some form of dementia. Now, if I'm correct, Maxine, you work for the Alzheimer Society. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So,
I'm a dementia advisor. Yeah.
So for this, when people think dementia, naturally the first thing people think of is Alzheimer's is dementia, but that's not exactly accurate, because there's actually different versions of dementia as opposed to the big A that everyone is aware of or is scared of in many ways.
Yeah, and the reason we hear mostly about Alzheimer's is probably because it accounts for about 65% of all dementias. But dementia is kind of an umbrella term. So Alzheimer's comes under that umbrella, along with vascular dementia, dementia with Lewy bodies, mixed dementia, and so on. There are, I'm told, well over 100 types of dementia. Some of them are quite rare, and I couldn't possibly name them all. We haven't got time. But Alzheimer's, vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia are the main ones that we hear about.
Because it's a very serious thing. I mean, because today we're talking about how businesses and organizations here in Pembrokeshire can be a more dementia-friendly place. Because, as I mentioned, with Pembrokeshire, we very much are a retirement county in many ways. We have an aging population. Many people from Wales and England do tend to move here to spend their their final years here, because it's a lovely place. I mean, who wouldn't want to live in Pembrokeshire? I mean, I know it's grey and horrible out there today, but it is a very easy place. But when it comes to coming to stores, shops, or even just general things you tend to have to do, how is it then that these places can become more of a dementia-friendly place? Because I can imagine if things, the first thing I associate with this would be memory loss. If a shop has suddenly changed or has moved, or let's say, for example, we always have places like, it's the class thing with supermarkets. They always seem to know when you've worked out where everything is, because immediately the week after they move everything across the store. So is this the kind of thing that is, mentioned and championed for, say that specific products need to be in specific places because that's what people are used to find specific stuff?
It's, when we're talking about dementia and people living in Pembrokeshire, we're talking of about nearly 2,500 people. Wow. And that's not just the person with the dementia, that's their carers, their family and their friends are on top of that. So, we think for every one, there's going to be at least another 2 or 3 affected. And going out into the community, going into shops, can be quite stressful for people. It's not just stressful for the person with the dementia, but it's also stressful for their family, because they're not quite sure perhaps how the person's going to react with the crowds or the noise or the lighting. And what you tend to find is that people then withdraw and don't go. They don't go to their local shops. They don't go to the pub or the cafe or the cinema. And then they become very, very isolated and lonely. And what we're trying to do is break that down so that people feel more confident to keep going to the places that they wish. So for one of the things that a simple thing that a shop can do is by basically just removing the black mat by the door. Mm-hmm. Because when somebody's got dementia, often their perception can be affected. And when they look at the black mat, what they see is a hole. And then they get
Really?
agitated. They don't want to go into the door. They think they're going to fall into the hole. And the person with them, they'll say, you might say, come on, Dad, it's okay. It's just a mat. But to them, it's a hole. And then they're worried that their loved one's going to fall in as well. And the result is they just won't come in through the door. So the simplest thing to do is take the black mat away or put a bright coloured one. And then
I've never heard of that. That's very surreal. I mean, the idea of, where I work down in Mags Optics, we do have a number of patients who come in with forms of dementia because naturally people do need eye tests, the cataracts, the rest is quite common. But luckily with us, we have the brown brushy stuff for feet when they're coming through. But the idea of a black mat being something like, that's just things so simple. So, you wouldn't even think about it in general. But then for, just saying about with carers especially, it is such a big thing with that kind of stuff. Because thinking with my grandmother, who did, of course, have Alzheimer's, with my fiance, whose grandfather had it, I never would have guessed that because at the time I was very young. And so I didn't do the shops kind of things like that, but things my mum would have had to do. That's a major thing. And especially with us in the county, as opposed to major cities, for example, people living in Cardiff or maybe Swansea or even further afield towards the largest cities in England, it's easy accessible to some place. But with Pembrokeshire, it's a whole journey. For us, if, say, for example, someone's living in maybe Moncton or possibly up the north in Eglwysuru or even on the St. David's Peninsula, trying to get to any of the major shops, just getting to the car, I imagine, is the hard part. Then you've got to that, then you have that issue there.
Yeah.
So, it's
a big thing. As far as the door, and then somebody doesn't want to go in. And it is very much about, something so simple as that can make such a huge difference. And, it's also then about perhaps when they're in the store, is there actually somewhere perhaps that somebody could just have a little, sit down? So when the carer or the family member is looking at different items, that person would be happily just sitting in the corner. It's about making sure that people can continue doing all of those things that they would have done, before having dementia. And it's just about, so it's dementia, the friendly businesses and organizations, it's just about having that conversation, looking at those little things. They're not asking people to change the whole building or the lighting or anything. They're just asked, basically, the first thing is for all their staff to do a Dementia Friends session, which both Maxine and I can run. It's a very basic awareness. And then they make a pledge that over the next year, there might be 2 things that they might like to change in their store. So one of them could be change the mat. And the other one could be that they have a seat for somebody to sit down. And they sign that pledge, and a year's time, they get contacted and see they might have done it. Something might have cropped up. But what they will then get is a sticker that will go on their door to say that they're working towards being dementia friendly. So as a carer, when I'm walking down the street, I will be able to look and think, that place, when I go in there, the staff will have had their Dementia Friends awareness. They'll understand if my loved one is getting perhaps a little agitated or taking a long time with their money. It may be that the person's come back 3 times with looking for the same item, so it's just about that basic awareness. So that scheme will be, anybody that's interested in that scheme can get in touch with me at Pav's office, and I will go out and have a chat with them and go from there. And it is basically as simple as that.
Because it's a big thing with that, because with the Pav's office, this is the one in Haverwest just going uphill, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't tend to be there very much because I'm out and about with all the different groups that have been interviewed this week. So if anybody is interested in that dementia friendly project, if they email me at cherry.evans@pavs.org.uk, then I'm more than happy to go and have a chat and support them in any way that I can.
So just to make sure you got that right, what was the email address again?
It's cherry.evans@pavs.org.uk.
Yeah, because I'll check that into our thing that's just been added in so people can grab that there, because it is something that's very, very important indeed with this, because there's many shops we have in the county who and some do change, some alter quite a bit, and it is a big thing, and independence is such an important thing for everyone to have. And I know it's a major worry for those who are scared of suffering with dementia if they're reaching certain ages, or they've ways they don't want to lose that. They're worried of becoming a shell of their own selves. So anything like that can allow this level of independence and just not feeling locked in. Because I mean, especially with what we had in the pandemic in the last 2 years, imagine that's been a major upheaval for many people who are caring for people with dementia, because they either can't understand why they can't go out, or why everyone's having to wear a mask. Why are they staying indoors? I imagine that's been a very hard time for everyone. So if we can, as any kind of organization or shop can become dementia friendly as a result of that, that could be a big thing coming through. Yeah. We've just had a message as well, actually, from Kelly Monroe's just put this into the chat. So just put this on screen. So saying to Shelley, you're incredible, sending good vibes from Morocco, where they are having massacred to what you do with dementia. That's amazing. From Morocco. That is amazing. So Lima and I are overwhelmed by what you do in our county. Thank you for helping the community project. And as said, we all need to be dementia aware, which is very important and very true.
Well, I'm more than happy to go out to Morocco to do a bit of
Awesome Madeira.
That's no problem at all. I will travel anywhere. I'm not too sure whether my manager will sign off on the traveling expenses, though. But,
maybe not.
That might be a bit of an issue. But other than that, I'm more than willing. But yeah, it is about making sure that the pandemic was really tough on people with dementia. They became, confined to the houses even more than they had been before. They lost the opportunity to maintain their skills. So we saw people condition progressing much quicker than we would have expected. Their mobility, their social skills, everything. And people are scared to come back out. And it's important that when they do make that effort, and they have come into a shop or they've gone into the pub, wherever, that effort is rewarded by being made to feel welcome and being made to feel part of that environment. And it's, the basics of Dementia Friends is that you treat people with respect and dignity and as an individual, and see them as themselves and not as a person with dementia. And really that goes for all conditions, doesn't it? We would all want to be treated. So what they do say is that if we can get it right for people with dementia, we get it right for everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, Maxine, with yourself then at Alzheimer's Society then, so with this, and how do you help with this as well? Because you mentioned that Alzheimer's Society back in the 70s, I had no idea the society had been established for that long.
42 years, yeah. So it started in 1979. Just two ladies who got chatting in a hospital waiting room when their husbands were both diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And they decided that actually carer support, mutual support for each other, was really important. And out of their decision and the fact that they were caring for people with Alzheimer's, the charity was started with just two people really with their initiative. It's called the Alzheimer's Society because they were dealing with Alzheimer's disease, but we actually work with the whole spectrum of people from the moment that they're worried about their memory loss through to diagnosis and beyond. So if people are concerned, but even may not get as far as their GP because of the stigma, the fear that you've already mentioned that surrounds dementia and so on, we're quite happy to have a chat, to go to their home now that we're sort of almost post-pandemic. So in Pembrokeshire, there's 3 of me working.
Yeah, there's 2 clones of you.
Fortunately, the other 2 are better. But there's 3 dementia advisors working part-time in Pembrokeshire. And our role is very much about supporting people and families, not just the person with a diagnosis or heading for diagnosis, but the whole family, anybody who's affected by dementia, offering information, signposting, emotional support if people require that. Sometimes I'll go and see somebody for the first time. They haven't had a chance to talk to anybody except their GP or consultant. It may be the person with dementia, it may be the carer, and it's nothing for me to sit there for 2.5 hours while they get it all off their chest and then say, oh my goodness, look at the time. I haven't even offered you a cup of tea, because they've really needed to have that conversation. That your GP doesn't have the time or the resources for that sort of thing. We do. We have very broad shoulders and hopefully good listening skills. That's what it's all about, a large part of what we do. But we also tie in with Cherry's work, recognizing, that people need to continue to live their lives, to have some quality of life. To sing, or to go to a memory cafe, to go for a nice walk with other people who may be in a similar situation. I was at a carers group just last week in Kilgetty at the Big Ellie Arms there, where they have a carers peer support meeting once a month. And we were talking about all the different activities, and I was saying to people, are you all on Cherry's mailing list? Do you do any of the activities? Do you go to any of her groups? And they were just saying how good it is for them and the person they care for to have that opportunity. Most of the time they don't talk about dementia, but that's what's important, that they can go to a group where they're accepted. Nobody thinks that forgetting a word or whatever is weird or odd. There's just that acceptance of they're all in the same boat, and yet they're out to have some fun and have a good time. And that's really important for people with dementia, that they keep stimulated and socialized.
Yeah, because it's such a big thing with naturally a lot of people in their mind, they think of dementia, they immediately think of locked in a nursing home. That's the first port of call immediately people would think of that, because that's what we've been seeing with media, with all kinds of dramas. They've always shown, they've never shown just how hard it is caring for someone, but also having that independence. I can't think of any kind of show I've seen at all on any channel that shows someone who has dementia being independent. It's always been the far end of the spectrum, but that's not actually the case. So these kind of things where you can meet up with fellow carers for people who are suffering with forms of dementia, this is huge. This is a very big support network, because otherwise keeping it all inside is very much like trying to keep almost like an acid inside you. It literally just eats away at you and you eventually break down. So having that opportunity of care, that opportunity of just being able to let things off your chest that you provide, and also with Cherry's, there's nothing bigger. This is very, very important. So if we can get the county better at this, that is a huge tick in the box. And I'm very glad to hear this, because I mean, the whole concept of having a black mat being a whole to people is just, I never would have thought that. And I imagine many people who'd be tuning in now and have thought, oh, I never thought that either. So just to clarify then, so just make sure you got this right. So if any businesses or organizations want to contact to get things done, so we got the email of cherry.evans@pavs.org.uk. If they contact you there, Cherry, that they can get things sorted out, so they can arrange times and meetings, that kind of thing.
That's right.
And then with the Alzheimer Society, how do we contact yourselves on this kind of stuff? Is it through websites, or is there any particular numbers or emails for that?
There's a number of ways you can do that, Stuart. I'm very happy to give you my email address in a minute, but you can just go to the Alzheimer Society website, which has is quite easy to straightforward to navigate, and that will take you through as well to our Dementia Connect hub, which is our main hub, if you like, for people who are concerned about their memory. Somebody there takes the details, and then those referrals get sort of cascaded down to the right country, the right county, the right person. But if you want my email address, I'm happy to give it to you now. Maxine.Ford, and that's at Alzheimer's, but without the apostrophe. .org.uk.
It's always the hardest part. Remember how to spell Alzheimer's. The amount of times I misspell that.
You're right with that. And I can give you the central number as well if you want it.
Yes, please. Yes, that'd be great. So I can share that with the
They have
county.
to come direct to me. They can go to the central hub if they want to. So that number is 0333 150 3456.
Fantastic. There we are. Because at least then, we got that out there. That's out for people to do. Because big thing. Also, we did have a comment from Kelly for you as well, by the way, Jerry, said that they can sort that out for you with a happy smile. So so your trip to Madeira to Morocco looks to be quite good. Looks to be sorted out.
Yeah, so, I shall be booking my leave tomorrow.
So this is great. So, we get dementia awareness out there. We also get a holiday sorted out as well. We do everything at POS Radio. It's amazing. We're a radio station, an awareness place, and also a travel agent. So, but we won't be muscling a Knocky Weiss territory. I think they might have a quiet word with us later in the week.
Yeah.
So, but Cherry, Maxine, thank you very much indeed for joining me for this, because this is something very close to my heart for the stuff that I've seen with my family, with my friends, and knowing that this is out here, that's a big thing, because there's nothing I'm more scared of is seeing friends or family suffering from some form of dementia. It's just because if I ever move away from the county as well, there's the scary thought of having to come back and having to treat this. Knowing that the support network is here, the option of how to help things out, that's something very comforting, because sadly it's a very common thing that affects many people in the county. Was it 2,500 in the county that are reported? And how many of those, just before we close out on this, how many are actually too proud to seek help with this? Because that's something I know is quite common with other issues. It's something we have with as well with those suffering dementia. They don't want to find the help because they're too proud, or they don't want to show any form of weakness.
I mean, I haven't got 2,500 clients, and I don't think Cherry is, although she's probably approaching that, knowing Cherry, because she's very good at networking. But seriously, seriously, a lot of people don't have insight into their own memory loss, or they are very frightened and scared to go to their GP because of what they might hear, and because of the stigma which still is out there about what that means. As you said earlier, Stuart, is it straight to a care home kind of situation? And that isn't the case for the majority of people. But yeah, a lot of people, and also, they're frightened to do anything about it, but also unaware of the help and support that's available. So Dementia Action Week and other campaigning that we both organisations do to get the message out there for people, that's really important.
Brilliant. Yeah, so we just had a message from Abby Ford saying, fantastic innovation, guys. Thank you very much. So Abby, thank you very much for joining us for this as well. And so Maxine, Cherry, thank you very much indeed. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Sir.
And I'll have to talk with my boss about that, actually, about dementia friendly, because of course we do have many patients that do come in with forms of dementia. So if you can find ways to get it better, big tick in the box.
And can I just thank all the presenters on Pure West Radio this week for being the amazing interviews that you've done, and also to thank all the people that have taken part in the 7 interviews that we've done. I didn't have to bribe them at all. They were very happy and extremely thankful to be able to have the opportunity to promote what we do and to raise awareness. So thank you very much indeed to everyone at Pure West Radio.
It's been our pleasure, and very much our honour or our privilege. We're very grateful for this, because any way you can help the county in some capacity, we jump at the chance. And something like this is such an important factor. It's just, we jump at the chance. But thank you for letting us be able to do this with you, because as I said, this is big, very big. And it's going to be getting bigger over the next couple of years. So any way we can prove it, definitely going to be done.
Okay.
But that's it. So thank you very much, ladies. And I might give you a wave next time I walk past the Tabs office when I walk up to the studios, because I'm only just down the bottom of the hill. But it's been absolutely great. So with that, we're going to line up our last 2 songs of the hour. We have the news and the weather. So any last things to say?
No, just enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Yes, thank you, Stuart. Look forward to working with you in the future somehow.
Sounds good to me. Yep, we'll find a way getting it all done.
Yeah, okay.
So with that, I'll catch you guys later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And thanks to everyone who tuned in as well. Thank you so much. Absolutely brilliant.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.